Well, welcome to Noel's World of Whiskey. And we've just gotten back from Scotland, 3 weeks, 4,500 kilometers. I don't know how many miles that would be, but lots of driving. Had one of my super drivers with me, my daughter Laura, and Rachel was she did a lot of the planning. Randy did a lot of the navigating. I tried. But anyways, we're back, and didn't get a lot of sleep because we got in pretty late last night, delayed flights, etc. That's a 10-hour flight. So anyways, what did I bring back? Well, I brought back, a bit of stuff, but this in particular, this was the last distillery I was at. And I don't know if you can see from here, recognize that bag. There it is. And of course we all can see there, we can see 3 names: Springbank, Longrow, Hazelburn, Kilkerran. And of course I do a lot of video, and got some video of the distillery. Even they allowed me to video the tour, which was pretty impressive. But anyways, we've got, there's a story about the lineup. I had to be there very early in the morning the following day to be able to pick that up, stand in line for a couple hours. That's how it is to get the good stuff. Anyways, and there are the flippers that stand in line too. I'll maybe tell you a little bit about that later. But anyways, I've got one here that I'm kind of wanting to review. And the 15 to 14 Springbank, I'm going to leave till later. I think we'll get into the Longrow 9-year-old, because I've kind of promised this to somebody, and this one's quite interesting. I'll bring it up close, and I don't know if you can read all the information on it there, but it's telling me it's from Warehouse 15, rotation number 8, and it's the Longrow Fresh Palo Cortado. I love my Palo Cortados. So there you are, Palo Cortado. It is 56.3% in strength, and it gives you the date. I believe that's the date that it was cast. Let's try that one again. That's more like it. Okay, let's pour a little dram there. So we're going to let this sit for a bit here. I'm going to just show you a little short piece of video I did of the inside the distillery. Maybe we might even sneak in a little bit of the trip traveling down the coast there. So, and we will see you when you get back. So much.
We traveled over 4,300 kilometers down many narrow and difficult winding roads, but had no regrets, because we'd captured that mood and beauty of Scotland. It was a long but incredibly scenic trip traveling down from the Isle of Skye through Oban. Now we've finally arrived on the Kintyre Peninsula, a world on its own. There we would head to Campbeltown, at one time the whiskey capital of the world, and for some a pilgrimage, and the home to Springbank Distillery.
We are in Campbeltown, and I still have a raspy voice. Looking out to Campbeltown there, that's the other side of the harbour. And we went over and looked at Glen Scotia over there. And to give you an idea of the place we've got here, this is it. Yeah, there it is. And just chilling out. So we're just coming into Springbank here, and some very old buildings. One of the oldest distillery families, the Mitchell family, independently owned. Springbank Distillery. And we'll go into the visitor center and we'll get registered. Just looking at some of our long grow here. There's some 10-year-old long grow and some smaller bottles down there. I think I'll be bringing a few of them back. Let's see, we've got the Springbank 10 there. Oh, Black Ladder 1993. Boy, they've got some classics in here. 35-year-old. Wow, 25, 50-year-old. Oh, there's some incredible whiskeys here. 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. And we're looking at the 16 on the right. There's the 10 next to it on the left. And we got a bit of a mix between the 9 and the 10s. And there's an 11. That's an odd year. That's a sherry wood there, 13. And that is the 14 portwood there. Actually, that's the one I've got. So I've got the 14 portwood. And there's the 13 portwood. We've got the, I'm not sure, a 16 rumwood, 12 rumwood, and a 12 bourbon.
Was Mr. Headley Wright, and he was the great-great-grandson of Mr. Archibald Mitchell. Sadly, he passed away last June, but we are still an independently owned distillery. There's no plans for that to change.
We are going up to the malting room. This is one of the few distilleries that still have a malting floor. So we're looking at the malting floor.
You can pick some up and have a wee look. So this is our 48 barley that we get from the east coast of Scotland. And you'll see there are some little rootlets starting to grow. So this is what we're after, the wee shoots coming out at the end. So every 4 hours, 24 hours a day, our floor is either turned or grubbed. And you'll hear a scraping noise of the grubber being pulled. So that's so you know that you're hitting the ground and getting right under all the grains of barley. If not, you could be leaving a layer on the bottom that's all under together and we would be able to use it.
This is called the turner?
Yes, there's the turner.
The peat pile.
And the aim of this process is to stop the little rootlets from growing and we'll dry it right down. So on the floor, it was around 46% moisture. After the kiln, it's right down to between 4 and 6%. We're stopping it from growing, and if it's one of our peated whisky, we're letting it take on that nice peat smoke. So this is when we can start to split production into our 3 different products. So Hazelburn is our non-peated whisky, and our barley is just dried on 30 hours of hot air. Springbank is our lightly peated whisky, so it's dried on 6 hours of peat smoke and then 30 hours of hot air. And then we've got Long Row. It's our heavily peated whisky, and our barley is dried on 48 hours of peat smoke. Once our barley is out of the kiln, it's called our malt. So to keep track of what we have in each bin, we have what we call our Springbank computer. Has anyone heard of it before? To make sure that all the bins are completely empty. So there's little ridges around the side that malt can get stuck on. So all they'll do, this one here should be empty, I'll just give it a hit. You can hear a few wee grains running down. They'll just give the bins a good bash. You can see the marks on the bins where they have been hit, and make sure it's completely empty. We don't want to get any long row grains of malt going into Hazelburn. Cortado itself went out of business in the early 1970s because the products they produced were so well made, they barely broke down. So great for us, but not good for the business. So this is when we get our grist. So I'll pass this round and you can have a wee look at it. It's made up of 20% husks, 70% middles, and 10% flour. This is our mash tun. It's a traditional open top iron cast mash tun which is over 100 years old. What we do here is try to extract as much sugar as we can from our grist. So to do this we do 4 waters. Our first water is 17,000 litres at 63.5 degrees Celsius. And what we get is a sugary water called wort. Our wort will be pumped into the underback in the corner there, and it will then be taken upstairs to one of our wash bags for fermentation. Directly from our underback in the corner. But before that, our wort, it passes through a Palo, and this cools the liquid down to between 60 and 20 degrees Celsius.
flashbacks. And we're going downstairs.
We take 11,000 litres of our wash into our wash still, which is on the far hand side there. Each still has got steam coils inside to heat the liquids up, but our wash still also has a direct burner below it. There's a flame to help heat it up. So our wash is heated up, the alcohol evaporates, up the swan's neck, out the line arm, and it hits the red shell and tube condenser that I pointed out earlier. When this happens, it turns back into liquid, which comes out here as our full wine. So it sits at about 25% ABV. It's heavy and oily and full of impurities, so we don't want to use that. That's the first distillation. So we'll take our whole wines into the first whole wine still in the middle. It's heated up, the alcohol evaporates, up the swan's neck, out the line arm, and this time it hits the worm tub condenser. So again, it turns back into liquid, and this then comes over here as our phase. So it's at about 35% ABV. It's stronger, but just not what we're after yet. For just now, we can store our fades in one of the vats at the back there. We'll take the other 11,000 litres of wash into our wash still, and the exact same process happens. They'll come back in as our roe wines. So to get our 2.5 distillation, we take a combination of our fades and our roe wines and put it into the second roe wine still here. So in the end, some of it will have been distilled 3 times and some will have been distilled 2 times. So this is how we can call it a 2.5 distillation. So for Springbank, we run the heads for 45 minutes. And this is like between 70 and 80% ABV. So very, very strong, traces of methanol. We don't want to be using this. So this is our heads or tails running just now. They'll run in on this left hand side here. We'll then cut it to collect our hearts into the middle pot here. And for Springbank, we run this for 6 hours, down to about 60% ABV. So from that middle pot, our hearts are stored in the vat in the far corner there, and we'll then take our hearts through to our filling store, ready to go into our vat. That's the only part that we'll take off. We'll then cut the spirit again and collect our tails back in over here. And we run it right down to 1% ABV. We can then take our heads and tails again and put it back into one of our vats. The traces of methanol, they will break down after going through another cycle. I'm assuming that's heads because I'm getting a very strong smell. So that is our Springbank 2.5 distillation.
We're going to go take a look right in here. And there it is. It's pouring out. And I'm just going to stick my finger in here. And I'm going to have a taste. And we're just going by the draft truck here again. You can see it's dripping down there, and this will go to the farmers. And now we're going into the filling store.
8.5% ABV. So that's the percentage that the spirit will be filled in our casks at. So our casks are all stenciled before they arrive in here. You've got the company name, year of distillation, the product which is inside, and then there's a number on it. So that's the number of casks that we have filled this year. There's also a letter, either A, B or C,
looking over toward Kilkerran there, that is the Glengyle Distillery. And we're in the dunnage warehouses now.
So this is one of our traditional dunnage warehouses. So dunnage is Gaelic for earth, and as you can see, this is the earth floor here that our casks are matured on. We've got 5 dunnage warehouses on site, and we've also got 3 racked warehouses. So we are also in the process of building more warehouses just to give us some more space. Our racked warehouses, they've got concrete floors, and the casks are stored on metal beams. So this is right up to 10 to 12 casks high. It's a much bigger scale. But in here we've got the traditional thick walls and low roofs, so our casks are up to 3 high and stored on wooden beams. For the sea-fill casks, by this point they've got nothing left to give really. They're just used as a vessel to hold the spirit. So they're typically used for our Springbank 10-year-old. It's made up of 60% bourbon and 40% sherry. So we'll take about 30 casks of that ratio to our bottling hall. We'll mix the spirit all together in the vat, and this is called the marrying of the spirit. We'll then fill it into our sea cask, and it'll be brought back to a warehouse for a 6-month honeymoon period. So it's not given any more colouring or flavouring, it's just being used as a vessel to hold the spirit for a little longer. After that, you could say it's the divorce. It's back to the bottling hall, and it's all split up into our bottles ready to go out on the shelves. Casks must mature in here for a minimum of 3 years. After that, we can take it out and bottle it. It just depends on what management are deciding to do. We also cannot let the spirit drop below 40% ABV, otherwise we couldn't call it whiskey.
And I think we're heading in to have a dram.
For everybody who can have a dram, you can either choose from our Hazelburn 10-year-old, so no peat, Springbank 10-year-old, lightly peated, or our long row, heavily peated.
You never get enough pictures, you know that.
I got up early the following day and was the 3rd person in the lineup almost 2 hours before the opening. There were only 2 15-year-old Springbanks available, and I got one of them, as well as the only 9-year-old cask-strength Longrow Palo Cortado. Most of those in the lineup left without a bottle.
Well, welcome back, and let's get right into this Longrow. 9 years, Palo Cortado cask finished. I think there was a couple of years in the Palo Cortado cask, at least a couple of years. So they didn't disclose that much information, but at least 2 to 3 years. So, anyways, let's give it the nose. I definitely right off the bat, I'm getting those medicinal notes. Some rubber tires, maybe even rubber gumboots. I'm getting a little bit of my wheelhouse and my commercial fish boat there. And there's some sweetness. Definitely some umami notes. A few spices mixed in with the smoke. There's a bit of beech going on here, beech fire. Not so much the beech fire that you get with say a Lagavulin. This is more of a dirty beech fire. So we got some leather even mixed in with that smoke. Anyways, the palate, Solange. The peat with a bit of sweetness to it. A little bit of bitterness, but again, more of the berries. Tasting something meaty, maybe a pork chop, a little bit of barbecue sauce on it. and licorice notes. And that's dark licorice, like the licorice that has the bite. Always fear the strong Dutch licorice. And it coats your mouth. You're getting a heck of a coating on your mouth. So sweetness, maybe even getting some caramel notes mixed in here. But I'm going to throw some water in this. And let's just see what the water does. It can take a bit. Remember, this is 56 point, well, I forget what it's 50. I'll have to take another peek at it there so we can give it a wee bit of water there. So the old swirl. Okay, the nose with water. So the rubber boots are still there, but there's a sweetness. And I'm going to stay with the leather notes. That smoke is softened a little bit there, and it's got some scents, some floral scents. Maybe it's heather, and the berries are still there. It's more of a fruit jam. Okay, the palate with water. It likes water. It likes water. That is nice. It really balances it out. So sweeten it up a bit. Getting a lot more of that Palo Cortado now. And I'm tasting still a bit meaty, but it's brought on the caramel, the dates. Still slightly dry. Good coating on the mouth. And all I can say is it just really balances out. You really want to add water to this. It really opens it up. You've got the right amount of peach. You've got the right amount of berries, sweetness, slight bit of sour to it. Lost a lot of the bitter notes. Something buttery about it. This is an excellent drink when you play with water. You have to have the palate for it at 56.3%. It's something that I do it for tasting, but I always add water when I get into the higher percentages, especially with the heavier smoked whiskeys and that, including, Longrow, Brooklag, Ardbeg, Lefroy, Lagavulin. They're all, when they're higher in the ppm, and higher in the ABV, there's so much impact to the palate that sometimes I think we do lose a bit and we miss stuff. And I just think when you add water, you still get that, a slight bit of that intensity in the smoke, but you're also getting the intensity in the whiskey, the character of the still, etc. And I think it gives the whiskey a chance to express itself. And also let the water sit in the glass. I did a bit of a swirl there. Because it's one of the dirtier whiskeys, we're going to get people talk about sulfur. I'm not getting any sulfur at all. So I'm going to say this Longrow is expressing itself without the sulfur notes, or the sulfur is well hidden. What am I going to give this guy? This is definitely, 83, 84-ish, somewhere in that range there. That's where I'd put it, 84, I think is a fair score for it. For a very young whiskey, that's a good score. 9.5 years of age. That's a good score for that age. I'm going to leave it at that. I recommend this if you can get it. So if you're at the distillery and there's a Palo Cortado cask that's sitting in front of you and you couldn't get the 15, you know, the Skye here. You couldn't get this guy here. You couldn't get the 10. Well, you know, for the 10, I've got the 10, we'll be reviewing that later on. I'd go for that, the Longrow Palo Cortado. If you like the smoke, definitely a good whiskey. So on that note, I'm gonna leave you, and I'm gonna ask you to drink wisely, drink intelligently, and do not drink and drive. And until the next time, so long.